The autumn air of 1792 hung crisp over the fledgling federal city, a nascent capital carved from the wilderness, destined to embody the ideals of a brand new republic. Trees still dominated the landscape, but the ambitious vision of Pierre L'Enfant's grand boulevards and monumental structures was beginning to take root on paper, a testament to the boundless optimism and bold architectural dreams of the young United States. This was a nation building not just cities, but a future, and every foundation lead was imbued with profound symbolic weight. On one specific day, a ceremony would unfold, seemingly a simple act of construction, yet one that would echo through centuries, giving birth to a mystery as enduring as the nation itself. The 13th day of October dawned, a Saturday, and the modest population of the nascent capital stirred with anticipation. Far from the bustling metropolises of Europe, this was a frontier affair, yet no less significant. The site chosen for the President's House, the future White House, was a rise overlooking the Potomac, a location selected for its commanding view and strategic importance. It was here, amidst the raw earth and the skeletal outlines of future greatness, that a pivotal moment in American history, shrouded in ritual and secrecy, was about to transpire. The day's proceedings commenced in Georgetown, a small port town that served as a temporary hub for the federal city's development. From here, a grand procession formed, a sight both solemn and spectacular for the era. At its head marched the Alexandria Lodge No. 522 of ancient free and accepted Masons. Their members resplendent in their full regalia, aprons, jewels, and sashes, symbols of their ancient brotherhood and their commitment to the principles of order, morality, and enlightened progress. They were joined by members of other lodges, by commissioners of the federal city, and by a host of other dignitaries and citizens eager to witness the genesis of their nation's enduring seat of power. The procession moved with deliberate pace, a vibrant ribbon of humanity winding its way through the unpaved paths and nascent streets toward the designated site. Banners depicting Masonic symbols, instruments of their craft, and the emblems of the young republic fluttered in the breeze. The air was filled with the rhythmic beat of drums and the stirring strains of fife and bugle, lending a martial and ceremonial air to the journey. At the very heart of this grand display, a figure of immense national reverence rode on horseback, his presence lending unparalleled gravitas to the occasion. George Washington, President of the United States and a venerated Master Mason. He was not merely an observer, he was a central participant, embodying the intertwined destinies of the nation and the craft. Upon reaching the designated spot, a trench had been prepared, awaiting its sacred charge. The assembled crowd, a mix of the curious and the committed, gathered around, hushed by the solemnity of the moment. Washington dismounted, his face etched with a quiet dignity, and took his place at the head of the ceremony. He was accompanied by Dr. Elisha Cullen Dick, Worshipful Master of Alexandria Lodge, No. 22, and other senior Masons. This was not merely a groundbreaking. It was a consecration, an act infused with ancient rites designed to imbue the structure with strength, prosperity, and the blessings of the grand architect of the universe. A silver plate, carefully engraved for the occasion, was produced. Its inscription detailed the date, October 13, 1792. It named the commissioners of the federal city, the architect James Hoban, and of course George Washington as President and Master Mason. This plate, a time capsule of sorts, was then carefully placed within a prepared cavity beneath the precise spot where the cornerstone would rest. It was a silent testament to the moment, a record intended to endure for generations, a tangible link to the founding vision. Then the cornerstone itself was brought forth, a block of dressed stone, solid and unyielding. With the assistance of his fellow Masons, Washington, donning a Masonic apron and wielding a gavel, oversaw its careful lowering into place. The tools of the craft, the square, the level, and the plumb, were applied, ensuring the stone was perfectly aligned, true, and upright. These instruments were not just practical tools. They were potent symbols of morality, integrity, and the pursuit of perfection, guiding principles for both the Masons and the new republic. They helped to build. Following the precise placement, the ancient Masonic ritual of consecration unfolded. Corn, representing plenty and nourishment, was poured over the stone. Wine, symbolizing joy and refreshment, followed. Finally, oil, an emblem of peace and harmony, completed the trinity. Each act was accompanied by prayers and invocations, blessings bestowed upon the future edifice and the nation it would serve. Washington with his gavel struck the stone 3 times, pronouncing it well and truly laid. The air thrummed with the weight of history being made, a profound sense of purpose radiating from the ground up. The ceremony concluded with a prayer offered by the Reverend James Muir, invoking divine favor upon the enterprise. The cheers of the assembled crowd erupted, mingling with a 13-gun salute fired by an artillery company, each boom echoing the number of the original states, a powerful declaration of the nation's resolve. This was a moment of public triumph, a visible manifestation of the nation's aspirations, yet beneath the surface the private symbolism of the Masonic rites added layers of meaning, understood by some, speculated upon by many. The procession then reformed and returned to Georgetown, where the day's festivities continued with a celebratory dinner. Toasts were made, speeches delivered, and the spirit of camaraderie and shared vision permeated the gathering. The cornerstone, now firmly embedded in the earth, was covered, ready for the next stages of construction. It was a tangible starting point, a point of reference, a historical marker. Or so it seemed. But then an enigma began to unfold, slowly, quietly, almost imperceptibly at first. The construction of the president's house, a monumental undertaking for its time, proceeded in fits and starts. Workers toiled, materials were brought in, and the walls began to rise. Yet, somewhere amidst the practicalities of building, the cornerstone, the very foundation stone laid with such pomp and ceremony by the nation's first president and a host of masons, simply vanished. There is no official record of its removal, no mention of its relocation, no explanation for its disappearance. It wasn't immediately missed. For years, perhaps even decades, as the grand structure took shape, was completed, and eventually occupied, the absence of that specific stone went unnoticed, or at least unremarked upon in any official capacity. It was simply lost to the annals of construction, buried perhaps under layers of earth, or perhaps removed and discarded during some phase of the building process. Its profound historical significance, tragically overlooked by those who followed the initial ceremony. The mystery deepened with the passage of time. As the White House became an enduring symbol of American democracy, the story of its lost cornerstone began to resurface. Historians and enthusiasts alike realized that the very foundation stone, laid with such specific and documented ritual, was nowhere to be found. Its absence became a void, a silent challenge to those who sought to piece together the nation's early history. Why was there no record? What secrets might it have held, beyond the simple inscription on the silver plate? This perplexing disappearance ignited centuries of speculation, fueling theories that ranged from accidental loss to deliberate concealment. The involvement of Freemasons, a society often perceived as secretive and influential, only intensified the intrigue. Was there something on that stone or within its cavity that the founding fathers, many of whom were Masons, wished to keep hidden? Did it contain esoteric symbols, prophecies, or documents intended only for a select few? The lost cornerstone became more than just a missing artifact. It transformed into a powerful symbol of hidden knowledge, a tantalizing whisper from the past that continues to beckon to this day. The stage was set for an enduring historical puzzle, a quest to uncover the truth behind the genesis of a mystery. The mystery of the White House cornerstone, laid with Masonic ritual and then lost to history, offers us more than just a forgotten artifact. It opens a window into the very foundations of the American Republic, drawing us into a world where the lines between civic duty, philosophical ideals, and fraternal bonds were often blurred. For many, the cornerstone is but a single thread in a larger, more intricate tapestry, a secret code woven into the very fabric of Washington, D.C., hinting at a hidden agenda orchestrated by the Founding Fathers themselves, many of whom were indeed Freemasons. But what does this connection truly reveal about America's origins? And is the truth more profound than any conspiracy theory? As the nascent United States began to take shape in the late 18th century, the landscape of its intellectual and social elite was deeply influenced by the Enlightenment. In this fertile ground, Freemasonry flourished, offering a unique blend of moral philosophy, social networking, and ancient symbolism. It was a brotherhood that attracted some of the most prominent figures of the era. George Washington, the revered commander of the Continental Army and the nation's first president, was initiated into Fredericksburg Lodge No. 4 in Virginia in 1752, rising to the rank of Master Mason. His Masonic apron and gavel are now relics of profound historical significance. Benjamin Franklin, a polymath and one of the most influential founding fathers, was also a devoted Mason, serving as Grand Master of Pennsylvania. John Hancock, Paul Revere, James Monroe, and many others who signed the Declaration of Independence or shaped the early republic were counted among the craft. Their involvement was not a casual affiliation. It was a significant aspect of their lives, providing a framework for their moral compass and a network of like-minded individuals dedicated to the ideals of self-improvement and civic virtue. This pervasive presence of Masons at the highest echelons of power naturally fuels speculation. To the uninitiated, the very word Freemasonry conjures images of secret rituals, hidden symbols, and clandestine meetings, fostering an air of exclusivity and mystery. Anti-Masonic movements throughout history, particularly in the 19th century, amplified these fears, portraying the fraternity as a shadowy organization intent on subverting traditional institutions and establishing a new world order. But what were the actual tenets that drew men like Washington and Franklin to the lodge? At its core, Freemasonry championed brotherhood, charity, and the pursuit of knowledge. It was a philosophical society, embracing the Enlightenment ideals of reason, tolerance, and individual liberty. Members were encouraged to be moral men, to serve their communities, and to believe in a supreme being, without dictating any specific religious dogma. Its symbolism, drawn from the tools and traditions of stone masonry, served as allegories for moral lessons, the square to square one's actions, the compass to circumscribe one's passions. The secrets were primarily the modes of recognition and the allegorical instruction, not political conspiracies. It is against this backdrop of prominent Masonic involvement and the fraternity's perceived secrecy that we turn our gaze to the monumental design of Washington, D.C. The task of planning the new capital fell primarily to Pierre-Charles L'Enfant, a French-born engineer and architect who had served with Washington during the Revolutionary War. L'Enfant, though not known to be a Mason himself, was deeply influenced by classical urban planning and the grand designs of European capitals like Paris and Versailles, embodying the very spirit of Enlightenment rationalism. He envisioned a city of broad avenues, grand squares, and strategic sightlines, connecting key governmental buildings in a harmonious and symbolic layout. His plan was meticulously surveyed by Andrew Ellicott, a Mason, with the crucial assistance of Benjamin Banneker, the brilliant African-American astronomer and almanac author. The intricate street plan of Washington, D.C., with its diagonal avenues intersecting a grid pattern, has long been a magnet for those seeking hidden Masonic codes. Proponents of these theories point to specific geometric patterns allegedly embedded within the street layout itself. They describe pentagrams formed by certain avenues north of the White House, such as the lines connecting Dupont Circle, Washington Circle, and others, or the purported compass and square symbols outlined by Pennsylvania and Maryland avenues converging on the Capitol. The very alignment of the White House, the Capitol, and the Washington Monument is often cited as forming a grand Masonic triangle, a testament to the Masons' supposed control over the nation's symbolic heart. The obelisk shape of the Washington Monument, a classical form, is also frequently interpreted as a Masonic phallic symbol, especially given that its cornerstone was laid in a Masonic ceremony. For many, these are not mere coincidences, but deliberate coded messages left by the Founding Fathers, revealing their true allegiances and intentions. However, moving beyond the captivating allure of hidden symbols requires a discerning eye, separating genuine architectural influence from speculative interpretation. The aesthetic of the late 18th century, particularly in public architecture, was deeply rooted in neoclassicism, drawing inspiration from ancient Greece and Rome. Obelisks, columns, pediments, and grand geometric forms were the visual language of the era, signifying civic virtue, strength, and timeless ideals. These forms were not exclusive to Freemasonry, they were ubiquitous in the broader culture. L'Enfant's plan, while grand and symbolic, primarily reflects established principles of urban design, creating impressive vistas, facilitating efficient movement, and establishing clear civic hierarchies. His own writings emphasize practical and aesthetic considerations, not arcane symbolism. He sought to create a city beautiful, a monumental capital worthy of a great republic, a vision shared by many Enlightenment thinkers, Masonic or otherwise. When we examine the alleged Masonic patterns, the evidence often relies on selective interpretation. Any complex street grid with its myriad intersections and angles can be manipulated to discover shapes if one is determined enough to find them. The pentagram often requires ignoring certain streets or extending others beyond their actual paths to complete the desired form. While Masons certainly use a square and compass in their symbolism, the intersection of two major avenues at a prominent building is a logical urban planning device for creating a focal point, not necessarily a secret code. Furthermore, there is no direct historical documentation from L'Enfant, Ellicott, or any of the period's architects or planners, explicitly stating an intention to embed specific Masonic symbols into the public street plan beyond the general classical and rationalist ideals shared by the Masons and the wider Enlightenment movement. The truth is more prosaic. The city's design reflects the prevailing architectural and philosophical currents of its time, currents that Freemasonry also embraced but did not exclusively own. Ultimately, the enduring fascination with the secrets of Washington, D.C. and the Founding Fathers' Masonic ties speaks to a deeper human desire to find hidden meaning and order in the world. While the historical link between many of America's founders and Freemasonry is undeniable, and the fraternity certainly shared many ideals with the Enlightenment spirit that shaped the nation, the idea of a vast hidden Masonic conspiracy encoded into the capital's very blueprint likely overstates the case. The secrets of Washington, D.C. may not be found in esoteric symbols or hidden street patterns, but rather in the open, aspirational ideals of reason, liberty, and civic virtue that the Founding Fathers, Masons, and non-Masons alike sought to embed into the fabric of their new nation. The lost cornerstone, therefore, becomes less about a secret agenda and more about the enduring legacy of an era, where profound ideals were laid, sometimes literally, as the foundation for a grand, ambitious experiment in self-governance. The whispers begin almost as soon as the last stone is laid, growing louder with each passing decade. A cornerstone, the very foundation of the president's house, laid with such pomp and circumstance, presided over by the highest echelons of a nascent republic, vanishes. Not destroyed, not rediscovered, but simply gone. For generations, this absence has fueled a particular kind of American myth-making, a tantalizing blend of history, secrecy, and the enduring allure of the unknown. Was it a secret plot by the Founding Fathers, a hidden message from the Freemasons who guided its very inception? Or does the truth, as it so often does, lie in a far more human and perhaps more fascinating story? The genesis of this mystery takes us back to October 13, 1792, a crisp autumn day in the newly designated federal city. Under a temporary wooden arch, a grand procession commenced. Dignitaries, military officers, and a significant contingent of Freemasons, adorned in their ceremonial regalia, marched from the nearby Fountain Inn. At their head was Dr. Elisha Cullen Dick, the worshipful master of Alexandria Lodge No. 22, the same lodge that counted George Washington as its charter member. Though President Washington was not present for this particular ceremony, his spirit of leadership and the Masonic ideals he embodied permeated the very air. With solemn rites, corn, wine, and oil were poured upon the stone, and an engraved silver plate was deposited within its cavity, proclaiming it the cornerstone of a structure destined to be the residence of the President of the United States. This was not merely a construction event. It was a sacred act, cementing the philosophical and symbolic foundations of a new nation. Yet, despite this meticulous ceremony, a strange silence descended upon the stone's specific whereabouts in the years that followed. As the walls rose, as the building took shape, the precise location of that foundational marker faded from public consciousness, becoming just one stone among thousands in the sprawling edifice. The original White House, then known simply as the President's House, would be completed in 1800, a testament to enduring vision and tireless labor. But the question of its cornerstone, the very first stone laid, would linger, slowly twisting into a historical enigma that would capture the imagination of generations. Consider the prevailing atmosphere of the late 18th century, a time of grand ambition but nascent bureaucracy. Record-keeping, while present, lacked the precision and archival rigor we expect today. Architectural plans, such as those by James Hoban, the Irish architect who won the design competition, were primarily functional blueprints for construction, not detailed surveys meant to pinpoint every single foundation stone for posterity. They showed the building's footprint, its elevations, its internal structure, but rarely the minute details of its subterranean beginnings. The focus was on building a nation, not meticulously mapping every brick-and-mortar joint. The narrative now shifts to the modern era, where the allure of the lost cornerstone has spurred genuine historical and archaeological inquiry. As the White House underwent countless renovations, expansions, and even a near-total reconstruction after the British burning in 1814, opportunities arose to search for the elusive artifact. In the early 20th century, and again with renewed vigor in the late 1940s during the Truman Reconstruction, and periodically since, historians and archaeologists have scoured the grounds and probed the foundations. Ground-penetrating radar, meticulous examination of old architectural drawings, and careful excavation have all been employed. These efforts have yielded fascinating insights into the White House's construction, revealing earlier foundation layers, utility conduits, and even remnants of the 1814 fire. But the cornerstone, the very first stone, has remained stubbornly hidden. This persistent absence has predictably given rise to a rich tapestry of conspiracy theories. The most enduring, and perhaps the most romantic, posits that the Freemasons, deeply involved in the founding of Washington, D.C., and the White House, deliberately concealed the cornerstone. The theory suggests it holds secret Masonic documents, a coded message, or even a time capsule intended for a future generation to uncover, perhaps at a specific astrological alignment, or when humanity reached a certain stage of enlightenment. The idea is tantalizing, feeding into the mystique surrounding the fraternity and the perceived hidden knowledge of the Founding Fathers. Yet, when we delve into the historical context and the known practices of Freemasonry, these elaborate theories begin to unravel. While Masonic ceremonies for laying cornerstones were indeed symbolic and elaborate, they were also public events. Their secrets were typically allegorical or ritualistic, not literal hidden objects or coded messages intended for future discovery. The purpose of the ceremony was to invoke divine blessing upon the structure and to signify its moral and ethical foundations. To deliberately hide the cornerstone in a way that would prevent its eventual discovery contradicts the very spirit of public dedication and symbolic permanence that such ceremonies aim to convey. There is no historical record, no contemporary account, no whispered secret among the Masons themselves, to suggest any such clandestine intent. Consider a different angle, one rooted in the practical realities of an 18th-century construction site. The White House, a monumental undertaking for its time, was built by a diverse workforce, including enslaved laborers, immigrant craftsmen, and skilled artisans. The site was bustling, chaotic, and constantly evolving. It is entirely plausible that after the ceremonial laying, the exact position of the cornerstone might have been overlooked, slightly shifted, or simply covered over as the foundation work progressed rapidly. Precision surveying tools were rudimentary compared to today's technology, and the focus was on efficiency and structural integrity, not on permanently marking a single, albeit significant, stone for future identification. The truth, then, reveals not a secret plot, but a fascinating tale of historical oversight and the enduring power of a lost artifact. The most plausible explanation for the White House cornerstone's disappearance is far less dramatic than the conspiracies suggest, but no less compelling. It is likely that the stone, along with its silver plate, remains exactly where it was placed, deep within the foundations of the White House itself. Over the centuries, subsequent renovations, the strengthening of foundations, and the sheer weight of a building that has stood for over 220 years have simply buried it. It is one stone among thousands, now inextricably woven into the very fabric of the structure, a silent witness to history. The enduring allure of the lost cornerstone lies not in its physical absence, but in what that absence represents. It is a powerful symbol of the gaps in our historical knowledge, the small mysteries that persist even about our most iconic landmarks. It reminds us that even with the best intentions and grand ceremonies, the past can be elusive, its details sometimes lost to the passage of time, human error, or the simple march of progress. The White House cornerstone, though physically unseen, continues to resonate as a testament to the nation's beginnings, a tangible link to the ideals and aspirations of the Founding Fathers, forever enshrined within the very walls they envisioned. Its disappearance, rather than diminishing its significance, has amplified it, transforming a mere block of stone into an enduring legend, a quiet mystery at the heart of American power. Thanks for watching Steady Z. Remember to subscribe for more deep dives.